Okay, you're going to pick back up here with the persona interview. It's kind of a fun thing. I'm going to demo it for you. I would demo it on stage normally with my second chair asking me the questions. What's really important here is you're not interviewing your real self. You're interviewing your persona. So your interviewer says, please introduce me to your persona, and I would probably say, I'm Dr. Super Competent. Interviewer would say, it's nice to meet you, Dr. Super Competent. Tell me what you're most proud of, Dr. Super Competent. And I said, well, I'm most proud of the fact I can solve any problem, fix anything. I'm just the smartest person around. How do other people appear to you, Dr. Super Competent? Actually, kind of stupid, because unless they appear stupid, I can't feel super competent. What is your leadership strength, Dr. Super Competent? Well, I'm just able to do anything. There's nothing that's impossible for me to do. Put my mind to it, it's done. It's wonderful. What is your leadership weakness, Dr. Super Competent? Excuse me? I don't understand the question. Let me get a chuckle. What are the benefits of this role at work? Well, I get to feel powerful. I get to feel strong. Get to feel in charge. Feels good. What are you most afraid of, Dr. Super Competent? Being wrong. Okay, drop your persona and go back to your authentic self. Whew. Can you see how this persona arose in childhood? Yes, no doubt. I think largely because of my grandfather, who raised me a lot, because my father was an Air Force pilot and gone overseas a lot. And he was a German immigrant who came to the U.S., worked in a small company, well, probably a 50-person company, as basically a janitor, handyman, and became CEO and became quite wealthy. And to my knowledge, he never graduated from college, but he was extremely interested in everything. He used to ask me questions all the time, like, how does your body generate warmth and things like this? And I got a lot of praise, love, affection from being able to do this well. Anything else you realize about yourself? Yeah, that thing's really hard to hold up and heavy and onerous and isolating, and I'm really glad I don't need to use it very often. Okay, that's the interview. Everyone in the room does it, has fun with it. I'll show you something I came across rather recently. It's kind of fun. It's described as an old experiment, been done many times with many sorts of animals. And in this video I'm going to show you they tried with fresh monkeys to see what they would see. And these are capuchin monkeys. It doesn't matter, just it's an easy thing to manage and use for experimentation. And these particular monkeys live in groups, think teams here, and they know each other. So in the setup, two are separated and asked to perform a simple task, and they've been trained to do this. I'll show you, I'll describe in a moment what happens. And if you're, interestingly enough, if you reward both equally, which means you're doing it fairly, and you're doing inclusion the same level for both, with cucumbers, they're perfectly happy, and they'll do this experiment over and over and over 25 times in a row. However, if you give one of them a grape, and a grape is a much more coveted food item by these monkeys, the experimenter, when he described this video, said that these monkeys seem to have food taste and desiderata almost exactly matching cost in the supermarket. Give one a grape and the other one a cucumber, you're going to expect an attack. So I'm going to go back and see if I can get this slide to show. Give me a second here. And I'll tell you what happens in the video. There we go. So this is really fun, and the video is small. You can easily get it from our website. The monkey on the left has been taught, both of them have, to give a rock to the experimenter. And so the experimenter gives her a piece of cucumber, and she happily eats it. The other one on the right needs to give a rock to the experimenter, and that's what she does, and she gets a grape. Then the one on the left sees that, gives a rock again, and then again gets cucumber. Well, she becomes visibly angry, and in fact, she takes the cucumber and reaches her arm outside the cage through a hole and throws it at the experimenter. and angrily rattles her cage, and it gets quite a lot of laughter with this. The other one gives a rock and gets a grape again. Now the one on the left takes the rock, bangs it against the wall to make sure it's a rock, hands it to the experimenter, gets cucumber again. Again, instead of eating it, she throws it at the experimenter and angrily rattles her cage. So what's the takeaway here? This is about how we reward people, how we share rewards. It's about a very common phenomenon in humans that I've described once in a while, that when you don't feel appropriately included, you get angry. And this shows the animals getting angry. Okay, continuing inclusion. A couple of things to think about. I think that there are good inclusion manners. It's much more powerful to say, I have 15 minutes for you, than a negative as in, I only have 15 minutes for you. And I think you'll find if you practice a little bit, you can avoid the word but completely. So someone told me in a workshop once you say the word but, I haven't heard anything that preceded it. So I find 90% of the time when I might say but, I can now just say and it makes it flow so much better. This is a fun thing to replace yes-no questions with a choice of all yeses. So my wife and I go to lunch every day in Boulder, and if I say, do you want to go to such and such a place, she'll say yes or no, then I've got to offer another alternative. So instead I think about what I would like and offer a set of yeses. Would you rather go to Five Spice or City Cafe today? Things that I know she would always also like, and I avoid this lengthy harangue of me offering choices. Another thing you can do here, and the place I got the idea from, is if you're a consultant and want to use someone for referrals, instead of asking them, can I use you for referrals, you can say, I'd like to use you for referrals. Can I cite you directly or just your organization? Something like that. Either answer would be okay for you. Now, we started the workshop by sharing something personal, and this is very powerful. I want to talk to you a little bit about a way I use this in my consulting practice. I've mentioned before probably that I spent the first 7-8 years after I left NASA working as an aerospace consultant. And I generally worked for vice presidents, and the turnover is very high. The people are coming and going all the time. So I knew when a new vice president came that didn't know me, I knew the storyline they were running because they told me later. And it was this, that consultants are people that tell you what you already knew and charge you a lot of money to do it. So I knew I'm running into red storylines and I want to shift them. So what I did at my first meeting, I said, you know, I've been part of an organization since I was, frankly, a teenager. I worked as a co-op student when I was in college. And my organization life has always been a really important part of my life. And I work for your company because I know the people, I like the people, I have deep friendships here. And your company fills a really important role in my personal life by me interacting with the people that I work with here. So thank you for the opportunity to consult for you. You see how that would shift the storyline? I got enormous success with that. After that, it was just continue on, Charlie, and send us bills. Here's a fun thing. When I was a professor at University of Colorado, I was required by law, it's one of the very few things under law, to post office hours and be there. So what would it be like if you posted office hours on your door and said, for example, I'm available for you, anybody, Tuesday from 2 to 4. And when the student came into my office, I dropped everything, met their needs, and it's a lot of fun for me to go do workshops and then go into the building a year later and see the managers with office hours on their doors. How about this? Many a man would rather you heard his story than granted his request. So when I was running the astrophysics division, there were a few people there that would fight me on decisions, particularly when I'm moving money from one place to the other. And I did this almost constantly. Priorities are changing, budgets are changing. And I never could understand why they'd argue with me because I thought no reasonable person could do anything differently. So what I did whenever a decision was going to go against somebody, I'd invite them to come into my office, shut the door, spend 15, 20 minutes, ask them to tell me what they thought. I'd listen deeply to their opinion and then say so long. And once I'd done that, they didn't care nearly so much about what I decided as the fact that they felt heard. These are very deep human needs, as you saw even in the monkeys for inclusion. So listen deeply. When people have communication difficulties and they're trying to blame it on the other person, here's what I tell them. Instead of making it about your boss can't listen to you or something else, why don't you take responsibility to communicate until you're understood? And that's a powerful green storyline. Of course, under-inclusions, we talk about under-inclusions. Over-inclusions are harmful too, not nearly so harmful. I think one of the big things we over-include is meetings. So I always demanded that a meeting had to be designated information or decision before I would go. It's really different in whether you need to attend and who else has to be there. I'd insist on at least a brief agenda before I'd attend the meeting, and also that someone recorded at least the action items. And when we started doing this, the people who might have something more important to do, they could read the agenda, decide not to show up, and know that they would see the action items or summary, minutes, whatever made sense later. Here's the glitches you commonly find. Inadequate delegation. You don't share power. People can't do their job. Inadequate information, particularly in staff organizations. Information is the currency of value. Sloppy group member recognition. Let's go back to looking at the two monkeys again. What can happen there? It makes people very angry. So over-inclusion glitches, which are yours? Too many boring meetings? Too many invitees? Are you burdened by email? I think we all are. So here's what I recommend. Two things. One is I do almost all emails with probably 90% of them with the total communication in the subject line. Because if someone, most people use Outlook, your email comes in, they cannot fail to read the subject line. So this is how it might be. Someone emails me, can you do a Roles Accountability Authority event at Northrop on December 14th? I answer back in brackets, yes. They answer back in brackets, okay, thanks. Here's another thing you can do. You make everybody crazy when you send out a CC list that's long, and then they do reply all. So first thing you do is you don't do reply all. The second thing you do is you put these lists in the BCC line, then nobody can flood everybody with emails with reply all. Here's a writing inquiry that people should first do and then do this second page. Fill this out. Good stuff. Takeaways. Fun cartoon. This is really important stuff. It drives the fifth force. It's dramatically important work. Please help your clients and yourself master it. And that closes out segment 24. Thank you for listening, and see you soon.